The night my parents handed my sister a brand new house for her graduation, the room erupted with applause. Phones flashed, smiles glowed, and congratulations poured in. Then my dad looked at me and said, "And for you, Mia, a gym membership." The laughter that followed wasn't polite, it cut sharp. Something inside me snapped. I left the room trembling, telling myself embarrassment was all they could do. I was wrong. Weeks later, a letter arrived, my name neatly printed on the envelope. Inside was proof that their cruelty went deeper than public humiliation. It was a violation that could change everything. That night was only the start. I'm Mia. Early 30s. I work a steady office job that covers the bills and keeps life predictable. I live alone in a modest apartment in the city, nothing fancy, just quiet, clean, mine. I've always liked it that way. From the outside, my family looked flawless, holiday portraits, festive dinners, laughter echoing through a perfect home. But inside, the hierarchy was obvious. Barbara, my older sister, was the golden child. Everything came easily to her, or at least it appeared. Mistakes were covered up. Desires materialized without effort. A new car after an accident, extra tutoring when needed, excuses made before anyone could ask. I was different. Responsible. Independent. The one who handled life without asking for help. When things went wrong, the response was always, "You'll manage." And I did. Always. That graduation night, the contrast became undeniable. The house they gave Barbara, a prize worth $120,000, was announced with fanfare. She acted surprised, but her smile betrayed her. She had expected it. Always did. My gift was small enough to fit in a hand, a gym membership. Practical, my mom said. A joke, my dad quipped. Relatives laughed, relieved it wasn't them. I stared at the table, tracing a scratch in the wood, trying to breathe normally. I wasn't angry, just diminished. Barbara leaned close, whispering that I could upgrade myself if I tried harder. I didn't respond. My voice felt gone. That's when I understood, this wasn't accidental. It was intentional. If I stayed, I'd be stuck chasing scraps. I didn't make a scene. I didn't shout. I quietly said, "I'm leaving," picked up my coat, and walked out. My mother's frown was sharp, my father barely glanced at me, and Barbara was already distracted by the crowd. The cold night air cleared my head as I kept walking until my hands stopped shaking. Sitting in my car, I replayed the laughter. That was the moment I decided I wouldn't pretend this was normal anymore. Within a week, I'd moved into a small, quiet apartment that was mine. No announcements. No help. Just me. The silence felt strange at first, then peaceful. Barbara called, teasing about the cozy, new place. I ignored her. She sent pictures later of my living room with captions bragging about it. I muted the thread. My parents tried next. My mother left voicemails calling me dramatic, my father texted once, "Call when you cool off." I didn't respond. Every message felt less like care and more like irritation that I wasn't playing my assigned role. A month later, my routine settled, work during the day, simple dinners at night, a cheap plant on the windowsill slowly growing, a small proof of progress. Then one night, Barbara's name lit up my phone. I almost ignored it. I shouldn't have. She was crying, real panic, not a performance. Between sobs, she confessed a reckless mistake, a casino trip, a series of bets, and now the house was gone. I listened quietly. I didn't interrupt. I didn't comfort. When she finally spoke again, she said, "Mom and Dad are freaking out." Of course they were. They said things like, "Family sticks together, and now isn't the time to hold grudges." They asked me to help cover some bills, just temporarily, until things got sorted. I stared at the wall, feeling a shift inside me. This was the moment everything I'd endured had been leading to. And I realized that whatever decision I made next would change everything. I didn't respond right away. I needed time, not to think about money, but about patterns, about how quickly their tone had shifted. A month ago, I was dramatic. Now I was needed. 2 days later, Barbara appeared at my apartment. I hadn't given her the address. That should have been a warning. She looked smaller somehow, drained, desperate. Her clothes were wrinkled, eyes red, voice unsteady. "I just need a place to crash," she said. "Just for tonight." I let her sit. I didn't offer food or a hug. I listened. She rambled about bad luck, pressure, and how none of this would have happened if our parents hadn't pushed her so hard. Not once did she say, "I messed up." She stayed the night, then the next. Soon, my apartment felt temporary to her. She ate my groceries, used my shower, left her bag by the door like she belonged. When I told her she couldn't stay any longer, panic turned sharp. What am I supposed to do? Sleep in my car? I stayed calm. You need to figure something out. She left, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the frame. The next morning, my mother called, sobbing. She said I was cruel. My father followed with a text, reminding me of everything they'd done for me growing up, as if my life came with a hidden debt. Then things got strange. Small items in my apartment disappeared, food I hadn't eaten, a blanket folded differently. At first, I doubted myself. Stress can play tricks. One night, I noticed the laundry nook window wasn't locked. I never used it. I set my phone to record while I slept. At 2 a.m., the footage made my stomach drop, the window slid open, and Barbara climbed in, silent and practiced. She went to the kitchen, ate standing up, then curled on the floor with my blanket and fell asleep. I confronted her the next day. She denied it, until I showed the video. Then she broke down, ashamed, claiming she didn't want our parents to see her mess, thought I wouldn't notice. I gave her 1 hour to leave, and warned her never to come back. That's when my parents stopped asking and started accusing. Relatives were told I was heartless, that I'd abandoned Barbara, that I was ungrateful. Only my uncle spoke up, "You're not wrong. They just aren't used to consequences." I thought it was over. I was wrong. While I was being criticized behind my back, they were plotting again. A plain envelope arrived on a Tuesday, my name neatly printed. Coffee growing cold, I opened it. It said I owed a significant sum, enough to make my chest tighten, enough to threaten everything I'd built. The letter detailed past due payments and warned of further action if not addressed. I read it 3 times. I hadn't taken loans. I paid my bills on time. I kept my life intentionally boring. Then I saw the address, my parents' house. My hands shook. I spent the day making calls, taking notes, asking questions. By sunset, I understood. Someone had used my information to take out a loan. The money went straight to covering Barbara's expenses, rent, utilities, other bills they wouldn't name. They hadn't asked. They hadn't warned. They'd decided for me. That night, I drove to my parents' house without calling. I walked up the familiar steps, feeling like I was entering a place that no longer belonged to me. My mother opened the door and froze. "Mia," she said too quickly. "You should have called." I passed her into the living room. My father sat on the couch, Barbara stood near the window, arms crossed, jaw tight. I set the letter on the table. "Explain." My mother picked it up, glanced at it, then looked away. "We were going to tell you." My voice surprised me, it was calm, steady. My father exhaled, like I was exhausting him. "Things got out of hand. We needed time." "You used my name," I said. "My credit. My future." Barbara scoffed. "You're overreacting. It's temporary." I turned to her. "You don't get to decide that." My mother stepped between us, hands raised. You know how desperate she was. What else could we do? Let her end up on the street? I laughed once, short and sharp. So you decided to put me there instead. That's not fair, my father snapped. We raised you. Don't you owe us something? That sentence, so familiar, so long anticipated, hit me like a wave. No, I said. I don't. The room went silent. I explained everything clearly, how this could ruin my life, affect my ability to rent, to move, to live. I told them this wasn't a petty argument, it was a violation. My mother cried, real tears this time. We didn't think you'd find out so quickly. Barbara rolled her eyes. You always make it about you. I turned back to my parents. Here's what happens next. You fix this immediately. Close every account opened in my name. Handle every payment. If I hear from them again, I involve the authorities. I'm not threatening. I'm informing. My father's face flashed with anger. You wouldn't. I would, I said. And I won't lose sleep over it. Barbara exploded. You're unbelievable. You have a good job, a nice life, and you refuse to help me? I looked at her clearly for the first time. Not confidence. Not entitlement. Fear. I already helped you, I said quietly. By stepping aside and letting you face the consequences of your choices. She stared, speechless. I left without another word. For 2 days, my phone buzzed non-stop, calls, texts, guilt masquerading as concern, accusations disguised as disappointment. I didn't answer. On the 3rd day, I got confirmation, the loan was resolved, paid, closed. I hadn't asked how. I secured my credit, changed passwords, drew lines that no one could ignore. That night, my uncle called. They're furious, he said. But they're scared. They went too far. What about Barbara? I asked. She's angry, he said. But for the first time, she's stuck. I hung up and sat in the quiet of my apartment. The city muffled outside my window, the vent humming softly. My heart was still racing, but beneath it, relief. A week later, Barbara tried again, showing up unannounced, looking worse, tired, worn down. I just need to talk, she said. I didn't move. Say it. They won't help me anymore, she said. Mom and Dad said I have to figure it out. I almost felt pity. Almost. I can't do this alone, she admitted. 2 jobs, bills piling up. I can't keep living like this. I held the door. You should have thought of that sooner. You think you're better than me? No, I said. I just learned faster. She left without another word. That was the moment I realized the power had shifted, not because I'd won anything, but because I refused to lose myself anymore. For the first time, they had nothing left to take. After that, everything went quiet. The loan was closed. My credit secured. No more letters, no more threats hiding behind polite language. I adjusted routines, updated accounts, and drew lines no one could cross. Barbara stopped showing up. From my uncle, I learned she'd moved into a tiny apartment, picked up extra shifts, and faced her own consequences: no house, no safety net. My parents continued to grumble about her, but something had changed. They weren't rescuing her anymore, not because they were wiser, but because they had no options left. I focused on my own life. A promotion came at work, more responsibility, better pay. A few months later, I moved into a brighter, bigger apartment. I bought a second plant for the window and watched both thrive. My parents reached out once, carefully testing the waters. I didn't respond. Silence felt healthier than any conversation we'd ever had. I wasn't angry anymore. I didn't need apologies or validation. Walking away hadn't destroyed my family, it had saved me. I learned that love without boundaries isn't love. It's permission to be used. walking away didn't make me heartless. It made me free. If you've ever had to protect yourself from those who should have protected you, you're not alone. Share your story and subscribe so you don't miss the next.